Okay, so this morning pulling out of the store, my sister's workplace. It is 10:55. I don't think that guy had to stop. He didn't have a stop sign in front of it. It's not always stop. Anyway, he still let me go, so I guess I'll go. Today I think there's two things I want to talk about. First thing is a little bit more, I think, dicey. It's about the conversation that people had yesterday and my family had yesterday. It was supposed to be a chat about, well, I wasn't really sure what it's supposed to be about actually. But anyway, it's supposed to be a chat that Amy wanted to talk about, my sister wanted to talk about in terms of her work. And it's no secret, but she's considering like whether or not it is what she wants to do, whether, just looking ahead, seeing that this is where she wants to be in her future and planning things out. Now, a lot of people thought that was the conversation, I think my mom included. So then, and so she was ready to do that. However, I don't think that's exactly what Amy was going for. I think she wanted to know maybe a little bit more about everybody's futures and how things fit together in terms of everybody going to the same place at the very end of the day. I think I picked up on that. I didn't pick up on that until very late. Okay, but anyway, and then we only had 1 hour, which was crazy because the way that our family works right now is basically like you waste a bunch of time just this person saying a bunch of random stuff, that person saying a bunch of random stuff, and then basically the whole thing is very inefficient when we talk about things, right? Yeah, and there's random stuff, and it's basically all the time random, like off-topic stuff, and so it's kind of annoying. But anyway, and then we had like something that we had to go to at 8 o'clock, and then like other sister's work ended at 7. I have something at 9, so it was just like crazy because nothing fitted together. There was no set dedicated time to do this. Circumstances given, and then all of a sudden people started falling asleep as well. Well, okay, one person fell asleep. My other sister, she fell asleep, and I don't know. This morning I was thinking about, and I kind of just gave up on the conversation and started to think about whatever that other 8 o'clock thing was doing. So it was a logic presentation. I think the best word for it is that logic's presentation given by a friend of my second sister, Emma's. And so yeah, there was that. And so I gave up on the conversation and went there. Yeah, not only was there no real structure to the meeting, and then afterwards, like, yeah, so not only that, afterwards my mom started getting kind of, well, I wouldn't say like super upset, but yeah, upset in a little bit, because I suppose she felt like whatever she was trying to say wasn't really being heard properly and stuff like that. But the sad part is that I don't think that was what was being discussed. So she was saying a lot of things basically on her own sort of rhythm, and it just wasn't what was being discussed. And then anyway, but there was no conductor to tell her so and to pull the conversation back on track. It was nothing of those nature, right? So the thing was, I didn't think it was gonna be a meeting. Nobody think it was gonna be a meeting, and so boom, it all flopped. But then it reminded me this morning when I was driving Amy, and I also told her about this, so that was our conversation. It reminded me that, recently it feels like we're all going our separate ways, and I personally think it's because we don't have a leader. You don't have a leader to steer everything and to bring everything together. Think about how things can fit together in a bigger picture. Yeah. And it goes back to the funny part about me running my business right now, well, I don't even think it's a business yet, but my endeavor right now. And that's the thing, because my endeavor is not stable, it's not steady, so then I feel like I can't bring them on. But then if you think about it very closely, right, if I could bring them on when it's only when it's steady, then I'm bringing them on for the opportunity. And however, if I bring them on, or if they join, like the boarding, right, if they join when it was still unstable, then they all become founders, you see. And they join because of a common vision. And the problem is we don't have that common vision, you see. And yeah, I find that quite unfortunate. And I find it unsettling, because I don't know, I feel like we're all diverging in our life paths. Things are getting very different for everybody. And I don't like that. I don't like that at all. My solution to this, which I hadn't told Amy about, but my solution to this is I gotta go hard at this other thing, right? I don't know if it's at the expense of masters. I don't know. It's a thought, but I don't know. I don't want it to be at the expense of masters, because my professors have expectations that I frankly want to meet. And the reason I say I frankly want to meet is because, first of all, being able to graduate masters is not like super duper like, okay, important to me. I don't want to go to the academic route. I love helping people, but right now I think I'm maxed out in terms of what I want out of the robotic skill set. I'm just thinking about it, whether that statement is really true or not. Maybe it's true for right now. Yes, maybe it's true for right now, because I don't know. I'm kind of sick and tired of trying to find jobs in the robotics industry and not being able to find them, because I need a ton more experience. I need a ton more smarts. And that, frankly, is not, I don't think the reward meets the effort, okay? I guess, if I think about it really clearly like that, okay? But it might not be really clearly, it's just a bit skewed and not traditional, very not traditional. Like, people always say, hey, you know, you already have this skill set, so you should work hard at it, and you threw it away because you didn't work hard at university. And that might be very true. That's a very traditional mindset, very conventional. I shouldn't say traditional, but very conventional, very correct also. But no, probably not for me. I don't think not for me. Anyway, so if I'm thinking about it from that perspective, yeah, maybe what I could do is discuss with my professor, Professor Kondor, about it. And but I have to make it work. I don't know. It's a risky one. I don't know how she's gonna perceive it, and she's very busy. So with all of that, it then becomes difficult, because the responsibilities are, you know, of a master's student is there. And actually, people don't treat master's students as a full job. They treat it as a student role. So if you're a student role, then you're expected to learn. And based on like some of the things that I hear her talk about, I feel like that's her viewpoint of master as a role either also, right? So I don't know. I don't think it's a ready thing to be brought up. Okay. Yeah. But anyway, the solution is that one. And if I can get it steady, if it can start to have a little bit, even a little bit of success, then I can bring people on. Okay. And then hopefully that can snowball into something cool, something great, right? Training ourselves is probably not a good option. Well, we could, but we have to train it on the job. We cannot train it just there, right? Now, gonna have to be a lot of thinking, a lot of budgeting, I think. A lot of making sense of how pieces can fall together. Okay, and then I could call like a investors meeting or something like that, and present the concepts, present the ideas, and actually setting it up so that I can talk to people individually first about it would be very nice also. Yes, because it's kind of like foreplay, you know, when you think about like intercourse and stuff. It's basically foreplay, and it's basically really important also. Okay. Anyway, on to the next topic is about the second thing I want to talk about is about my endeavors becoming a better player in AOV. It's really quite interesting. Really quite interesting. And I think this is things that I should have felt when say maybe pursuing robotics, I say, right? but maybe not the right. Maybe I didn't have the right mentors. I only had teachers. I didn't have mentors. Maybe. Okay. Anyway, it was interesting that after all this time of just struggling on my own, of like trying to figure things out, I had the chance of like playing against this guy called Toby. He's a substitute on our team, and on the other day when we were discussing and watching back the videos, I just started to felt that, oh, maybe he has things to say about watching this stuff, and he has good things to say. I can kind of see the sense of, and then so we did that, and then we earned basically like one huge boost up, which was, hey guys, keep your HP up, and that's going to help you win some of the next engagements. Like one engagement you lost, but you can't let that loss snowball, and then how you get that loss back is basically by getting ready for the next one. And especially in the early game, that is the case. When the gold diff becomes way too big, that's just impossible now. But then, which is one of the bad things about AOV, okay? But then, if the gold diff isn't a whole ton yet, then, well, what you gotta do, you know, is you gotta think about that next fight. You gotta think about what you gotta do next, okay? I think it's very applicable to even life in general, okay? Interesting. I think it's very applicable to even life in general. But that was already one sort of breakthrough in all this. And then yesterday during our practice, I felt like we had more breakthroughs, because he was talking about how he thinks when he played against us and things like that. And then it just occurred to me that, hey, look, when you are playing with, like when you're going to break through to the next level, you got to think about what is the best build for this situation. You got to use that advantage to you. Don't try to always force the same situations when you cannot. Like let's say that my Diao-tan plays very ambushy, okay? But then today we already lost the ambush opportunity. Well, is that the end of the day? Is that the end of the, end of what you do? Well, no. Problem solve, think about it. How do you change up your build so that you can make the best out of that situation? And I think this week I finally have like an inspiration for a video. I do have another video in mind, so I now have two inspirations for videos. This is very difficult to make. One of them is going to be about a game that I played last night afterwards, okay? Liliana. It was a Liliana gameplay, and because the people were a little bit easier, I think a lower ranked, I could kind of smurf on them in the beginning, really outpoke them. I had a good support who was there in the early game for me to be able to do this. And again, that was the thing where like the other person didn't back, and I was just able to just harass the person more in the mid lane and even get first blood. And then that kind of just started snowballing my lead. However, the cool part was this. I try to pay attention to the other people's build compositions and change my build accordingly. Okay, I still had a sort of a general gist of what style I wanted to do. I wanted to be more like an assassin Liliana, so I built a little bit of crit chance and stuff like that into my Arcana, and so that was that. That was the general gist of it. But then in the game, I was really thinking about like I was thinking about what builds I should do in order to counter this particular situation. However, at one point I forgot about that. It wasn't, you know, ingrained in my bones, into my bones yet, right? And so I was firsting this L'Oreal, and in the end I got beaten out by this L'Oreal because she was life stealing, and I didn't have the negative life steal item, not negative, but you know, the debuff item. So that was so cool. It was basically the concept demonstrated in a video perfectly. So I love that, and it feels like just more breakthroughs, you know. And I try to really quickly organize my thoughts of AOV and how people think about the game at every single level, at every single rank, and it was just amazing to again fill that chart out, you know, because I filled it out for when I was running the classes for AOV, and then now I could do it again. Yeah. So I don't know, it's my hobby, I suppose that's all it could be until it really starts generating revenue and people can't really laugh about it anymore, and it starts to be, you know, legit. But it felt like it feels like that maybe I can make it into something like Go, you know, Go, where there's the manual of what to do when you meet what situation. We need to formalize it, and once you can formalize it, people can understand it, appreciate it, and then maybe it can raise ranks into becoming something a little bit more prestigious. So that to me is interesting, you know. Yeah. So in closing, I felt really cool that we had that advance, but it also took a lot of time, which is crazy. But yeah, I really felt cool that I had that breakthrough. Last comment about this was that robotics probably should have been like this for me, but I felt like in robotics things were very at stake, and the end goal was like, oh, you just get out there and you just start to produce. It wasn't to get a breakthrough. Maybe that's what it is in Go as well. Like if you think about the professionals playing in Go, is they need to get to the point where they can become professionals and have their own breakthroughs, their awakening, so to speak. And not even just awakening. They need to awaken, and then they need to earn the prestige ranks, you know. They need to earn their dans, right? There's that. And so that's like Go. But then if you think about it, no Go player goes like, oh, I just want to get proficient enough so I can teach Go, or so I can work in a factory where by solving Go problems I can earn money. But that's like what it is in robotics, which is very interesting, because what if that actually was a part of the Go culture? What would happen, you know? Maybe a lot of people would just have a slight awakening, and then there will be like this cloud, you know, this cloud obstructing everybody coming up, their opinions and their views about what's up there, you know, and then they'll think that this is the goal, this is the end goal. And then when they approach school and stuff like that, they'll be like, oh, I'm just going through whatever. And then very few people will then have that awakening, or that, I keep saying awakening. No, awakening is like this the step from you to go there to there, to the cloud zone, and then but then the breakthrough needs to happen for you to get to the prestige. Is in my mind is what's happening right now. And then going through school here is like where people go like, yeah, and then they hit their heads because it was really hard and stuff like that. Yeah, but then they don't see the sort of, they don't fall in love with it. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say. They don't become passionate about it. They don't see that it is just trying to figure out, how to approach this problem, how to think about it, how to get better. And then they don't meet the right people either. So like for me, it was like, okay, if I don't meet the right people talking about the right things, then everything is just me trying to get ahead on it, right? That kind of thing. Interesting. And then how does this all interplay with like concepts like universal basic income and things like that, right? And you might think, oh my god, that's just couch philosophy or whatever, and it's cringe stuff. But no, like think about it now. Maybe the fact that I'm able to enjoy some of these games and not using it as escapism, okay, is maybe because I don't have to work a job that is like super daunting. Maybe I should, but anyway. But I don't have to work a job that is like that, and I'm also not hungry and starving, right? And I have a roof over my head. So just things to think about. Interesting side extensions, that is. Alrighty, I will leave now. Bye.